Thank you for joining us today. We're going to hop into our topic. We're going to be talking about using Heroku, Pardot, Amazon Redshift to scale your go-to-market operations. I'm Jess Newell, the Heroku Salesforce admin here at Salesforce, and joining me is Rachel Bradley Hawes,
Hi.
our go-to-market operations senior manager. All right, so this is day 2 of Dreamforce. You should have already seen this slide. If you haven't, please start paying attention to the presentations. This is our forward-looking statement. Pretty much this sums up that Salesforce is a publicly traded company. Please make your purchasing decisions based off of existing features in the software and not off of what you're hearing, what will be on our roadmap this week. With that, I'm going to pass it off to Rachel.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Rachel. I manage the go-to-market operations team here at Heroku. In order for us to really help you understand what we do here and what go-to-market operations is, we first need to go over what is the Heroku business model. There's a couple different things we need to consider. We have 2 revenue streams. One of them is enterprise, and the other one is online. Okay, well, what does that mean? Enterprise is when someone comes and they sign a contract. They have an annual contract value, a set amount of time that we plan for them to be on the platform. They're engaged with a certain rep. On top of that, we really know what's expected from them over their time period. The only thing we need to consider is how long are they going to be here? What's their usage? Are they sticking to their license plan? And are they planning to renew? Do we need to count on them growing? That sort of thing. The other side is online. So online is when someone comes to Heroku.com, signs up, fills out their email, and they start using. Some people spend $0, some people spend thousands of dollars, but for us, we really don't know because they only pay as they go. They first get brought on and they're managed by marketing nurturing campaigns, but sometimes they never actually engage with a person. So we really need to consider what's the daily usage, what products are they using, what's their spend, that sort of thing. But what gets really interesting here at Heroku is we actually have another couple arrows that do not show up here. We have customers that are moving from online to enterprise and enterprise to online. This is where it gets really complex because each of these customers needs to have a customized customer journey in order to guide them to the ultimate point for them. Oops. So what is go-to-market operations? Well, it's a lot of different things, but it's probably easier for me to tell you what keeps me up at night than what I do for a living. So things like, am I surfacing the right data to the different types of reps? Are we really enabling our customers to have their own unique journey? If not, we kind of failed as an operations team. Another couple of things is, are we manually doing things too much or are we automating too many things? For us, we find that's a constant battle we have to have. What's the initial investment we need to make in order to automate things longer term and scale? The last thing is, how do we do more with less? How many people here have less and less resources and are asked to do more and more things? Feel free to raise your hands. I think that's why we're all here, honestly. Otherwise, I don't know why you chose this session. For us, we're constantly asked to do more with less. And so for us, we really need to understand how we can best utilize our tools, our processes, and our technology to make sure that we scale as an organization and continue to support our business as we grow in size and complexity. The last thing I'd point out on this slide is this all says how do we, not how can we or what should we do, because at the end of the day, our team has to do these things in order to make sure that our business is successful and scales with the rest of our growth.
Thanks, Rachel. As Rachel mentioned, we do a lot here at Heroku and the go-to-market operations team. So for us to run our team, we rely on tools, processes, and technology to get the job done. Some of the tools we rely on day in, day out is Salesforce, our Heroku Data Warehouse app, Pardot, Looker, and Heroku Connect. As for our processes we deal with routinely, they require manual intervention to bring new reps on board, such as assigning new accounts to our online sales team or aligning sales territories for our enterprise sales team. At Heroku, we rely heavily on technology to get the job done as well, else we wouldn't be able to scale. We have a series of scripts that run to help enhance our Salesforce data, from product-specific usage data to high-volume actions our customers are taking on our platform, and to sync Salesforce's Salesforce instance to ours, OrgH as we call it, using Heroku Connect. The examples I gave here are specific just to sales. However, we have many other processes and technology that focus on different aspects of our business. As we'll go into detail later, we're going to be talking about the user-centric marketing campaigns that we automate for our marketing team. With that, I'll pass it off to Rachel.
So this is an overview of our Heroku Data Warehouse app. So what we talked about is we really rely heavily on tools, processes, and technology. So here is our number one tool that I work with that helps us scale our go-to-market operations. You can see Salesforce is connected to it, but the number one thing I live in is Heroku Data Warehouse. The one thing I will call out is Heroku is a data-driven company. So for us, that means that we rely heavily on data-centric architecture. That's what you'll see here. You see Kafka, Postgres, Redshift, all the way through Heroku Connect, which then connects to Salesforce and Pardot. I'm going to walk you through the parts of our architecture and explain to you why we chose the things we did and why it's set up the way it is. So on the left-hand side here, you'll see Heroku Kafka. This is really what we consider our event bus. So as people are coming onto the platform, clicking through, seeing different pages, we're constantly streaming this data in and pumping it into our Heroku Postgres Premium 7. So this is really more of a transactional database that we use to basically track this data and store it in a format that can easily be brought over to Redshift. It's pretty difficult to directly pump data from Kafka into Redshift, so we kind of use this as a holding device for our data. It's not working.
Okay.
You click next. Okay, this is our Redshift instance. So yes, our two major partners within our Heroku Data Warehouse app, which is the dotted part, are Redshift and our Postgres Leader database. So Redshift is really used to store a lot of our massive data sets that we run heavy analytics on. So if we're looking for certain types of logic on very granular historical data, this is where we really do that. So for example, if you want to understand what users have done event A, event B over the past 10 years, that's a massive query to consider when you have thousands of customers. So we really use Redshift's ability to do parallel processing to limit down our results and then be able to bring some of this data over into Postgres. Here we have our Postgres Leader database. So when I consider this a leader, I mean that we're bringing in a ton of data from other Postgres databases. You'll see them here. We'll reference them in a second. This is our central location and source of truth for all things business at Heroku. We're bringing in product data, billing data, usage data, and a whole bunch of sales data. So this is our central source of truth. When you bring all of that data in, you allow for cross-domain querying and enriching of a whole bunch of data. Like I said, this is our source of truth within the Heroku Business Operations team, and we're able to find out information on users. What is their billing? What have they been doing on the platform? Has a salesperson engaged, yes or no? These are critical things as we try to run the business. All right, here we have our source follower DBs. What does this mean? So we have our Premium 8 database, which is our central location. These follower databases are read-only databases that pull from other locations. For example, we have a product database. We're able to do read-only pulls from them and quickly import data. If I need a new column, super easy. I can have that in my database within 15 minutes without having any security issues while working with the other team. If a database rolls over and we need to back it up, immediately taken care of just by our architecture, no issues whatsoever. This is why I love working with Postgres to Postgres databases within Heroku. The last thing I'll call out, go ahead. The last thing I'll call out is this is super critical as we're trying to help support other teams. Product wants to know information on users while they're loading new data or launching a new product. They can quickly load a table and we're able to do analytics on the spot. Heroku Connect. This is my favorite part of our data architecture personally. I love Heroku Connect because I would not be able to help scale our organization without it. This is bi-directionally reading back and forth between Salesforce and our Heroku Postgres database. This is the only way we're able to pump our enriched data in for sales reps to see it, and also for our database to pull this data back from Salesforce that's manually entered by reps and be able to run analytics on it. We need contextual and data information for us to really understand our customers. The other thing is we have two instances you can see here. We have a couple reasons. We have business critical data, which is time sensitive. If an opportunity closes, we need to know immediately for us to run operations behind the scenes to make sure things get provisioned correctly. The other one is a routine. We want to be able to give contact level contextual information. This can be a massive data set, so running updates, it could sometimes slow down the business critical stuff, so we do have two instances for that reason. Last on the right-hand side, you'll see Salesforce and Pardot. If you guys don't know what Salesforce is, you probably don't know what Dreamforce is, so I would assume you wouldn't be here. Salesforce is our central location for where sales reps, marketing, and support comes and works on everything. This is where we are able to pump all this information and really scale. Pardot really helps us engage with our customers, so as we're adding campaign members, we're helping them along their journey. This is something that we're able to do in Pardot. Customized journeys based off of information that we're bringing through Salesforce and guiding them along that journey. So the last thing I'll point out about this whole thing is this is really, once again, like I said, a data-centric architecture. This helps us scale our entire business through scripts. Also, we're able to really understand what our reps are doing on the front end of Salesforce and bring it all together. Jess is going to walk you through an example of how we've done this.
Thanks, Rachel. So the goal of our automated user-centric marketing campaigns is to enable our marketing team to be able to run campaigns quickly and efficiently as we grow. As a team, we're automating these user-centric marketing campaigns so our customer base, as it grows, our campaigns can also be scaled. We can still focus on key metrics that we use that our customers are or aren't taking, and that data lives within our products. We then take that data and use it to market a series of targeted messages to our customers to hopefully educate and inform them about our product to hopefully lead to future sales. One thing I want to point out here is that Pardot is an excellent marketing automation tool that can manage your campaign from start to finish, from nurturing prospects to engaging with your customers. However, at Heroku, as Rachel said, we're very data-driven, and one of our business problems that we needed to solve is how we can access all of this data, and the majority of our data does not live within our Salesforce or Pardot instance. So how can we use that as our criteria to determine eligible customers? So when we say that, we're prefacing that all of the heavy lifting and logic is being done external outside of Pardot, and Pardot is really just our marketing tool to engage with our customers. So that's why we have this labeled as this is not your parents' Pardot campaign. All right. So I want to jump in right here to go over the diagram of the automated user-centric marketing campaign. So this diagram here shows the flow of data and the overall architecture that Rachel just discussed of the automated program. So we chose this setup as this way because we knew that all of that logic and querying of the campaign criteria existed in these external systems. Previously, in the prior project, it was quite tedious and it required many manual CSV uploads to determine who was eligible for the campaign and then who was converting. Another problem that the marketing team was having is if there was members that came onto the platform that met the campaign criteria after the campaign started, that required another manual CSV upload. So this process, there was a lot of room for error and just was very manual and very quite tedious and hard to do. So those are the main reasons why we chose this architecture. So let's dive in more to how this works. All right, so this diagram here shows the path of the user-centric marketing campaign. So it starts with the user taking an action, that data flowing from Kafka to Postgres to Amazon Redshift through Heroku Connect to Salesforce and then Pardot. Based off the customer's user actions, a few examples that we like to look for are have they added an add-on to their app or have they never deployed anything on the platform? Based off of looking at that criteria, we determine whether the customer meets the campaign, and then the customer's usage data will then be filtered through the Postgres and Redshift databases. If the data matches the campaign, then from Redshift to Postgres through to Heroku Connect, the data will sync to our Salesforce instance, and then the customer will be added as a campaign member. And then from there, they'll then be synced to Pardot. Once they're in Pardot, our automated marketing program kicks in, our engagement studio, and starts to send the customer their first email. After the first email is sent in the engagement studio, there is a pause where we look to see if the customer has responded to the call to action. Have they actually acted on what we want them to do? If they have taken their action, their usage data will again flow through the systems in place, Kafka to Postgres to Redshift, and then to determine if the user matches that conversion criteria for them to then flow to the next Postgres instance. If they match that criteria in the campaign and they met the call to action, the data will sync through Heroku Connect to Salesforce again, where they are then marked on their campaign member record to say that they converted and will exit the engagement studio. If the user didn't take their action, they then will continue to flow through the engagement studio as participated until they take the intended action or the program ends. All right, so some stats on our automated user-centric marketing campaigns. So in the previous solution I mentioned, it required many manual CSV uploads that met the criteria of whether they qualified or converted. Another pain point was that, as I mentioned earlier, adding the additional members. That was very difficult. So all in all, it was just very timely to complete. Now, in our new solution, the process runs daily to determine what customers are eligible and what customers have converted. So it's automatic, it requires no manual intervention, and it is a major improvement for the marketing team. So some of our favorite stats so far on what we have done, we currently have 4 automated campaigns running that have been sent to over 2.3 million campaign members for around 5.6 million emails. And all we've done every time we add a new campaign is just add one more line of code. So no CSV uploads, just really easy for Rachel to go in there and write her code, and then the magic happens. So it's a big improvement. With that, I'll hand it off to Rachel.
Thanks, Jess. So one of the things I want to call out from that previous slide is it's not about just scaling our own team, but really helping the other areas of our business scale as well. For marketing, if they rely heavily on us, we're preventing them from being able to grow and engage with the customers as they want to. So not only are we considering what is our time lost by not automating some of these things, but what time is marketing waiting around for us to basically make decisions? So for us, it's not about just enabling ourselves, but enabling the people around us. And that's really that's really only come to fruition based off of our data-centric architecture. So here's a couple other examples of what we've been able to do with this architecture, and we have thousands more. Honestly, I could probably talk for 5 hours about all the things that we've done and geek out about our Heroku Data Warehouse app. It's one of my favorite things to do. But for example, basically enriching Salesforce data. How many people wish that they knew every single high-value action a customer had done and just have that in Salesforce? Not just sales data, not just here's an email logged, but here's everything this customer or anyone on this account has done, and here's the likelihood of them being converted, and here's the likelihood of us making money off of them. I'm assuming everyone here would love that. So this is what we're able to do. Enrich the data, run rate. What are they predicted to spend if they're an online customer? We talked about how that fluctuates a lot. What if we could surface that information based off of logic in our data warehouse? We've done that. Our reps love it. They understand if there's a cause for concern or if they're in the green. Another thing is we have 2 Salesforce instances. We have a Salesforce instance and a Heroku Salesforce instance. We have to keep both of them syncing constantly. We consider Salesforce instance the source of truth of closed deals, even if they're only Heroku products. So in order for us to provision the correct stuff, we need to make sure that all the data we're bringing in is completely clean. We could do that manually, or we could do that with scripts. I don't know about you guys, but I would probably rather do it with scripts. So that's enabled here as well. And the last thing is account ownership and opportunity management. How many people hate opening opportunities manually by themselves or creating accounts by themselves? We do all of that behind the scenes. We actually just have to go and put here's the account SFID or account ID. Here's who should own it. Let me just fire off a script. It goes and creates all of the account ownership stuff, and then it creates the opportunities that are required, and then everything takes over from there. So there's a tiny manual portion of each thing just to make sure that we're doing the right stuff. And then everything is automated beyond that and kind of lives on its own with high quality. Rather than a whole bunch of manual entry, it's just automated, which makes it a lot easier for our team and for our sales reps as well. There's a couple other things that we could go over here. Jess and I will be here afterwards if anyone has any specific questions about how we do this, the technology, how the data flows through. We're here. So find us afterwards. I know we only have a minute left, so unfortunately we can't take questions.
And the last thing that Rachel and I want to mention is that please come to the Salesforce Developers Keynote tomorrow. Margaret Francis of Heroku will be speaking along with several other Salesforce All-Stars, where they will be discussing how you can build apps easily, how you can integrate your apps easily, and how you can make your apps smarter. And that is tomorrow at 1 p.m. So with that said, thank you very much for coming and listening to me and Rachel.